In the year 60 AD, the Roman Empire, its dominion vast across Europe, encountered fierce resistance from Britannia. The tranquil island of Mona became a battleground as Roman legions descended to extinguish 300 druids, relentlessly snuffing out their lives one by one. Yet, in their final breaths, the druids clung to unwavering faith in a mythical warrior goddess, a harbinger of salvation from the Roman yoke. Across the seas in Rome, Commander Paulinus reported the harrowing slaughter to King Nero, who acknowledged the peril of this druidic legend and decreed the prohibition of women in positions of authority. In Britannia, the Iceni tribe thrived under King Prasutagus and his queen, parents of 2 daughters. As Rome's ominous shadow loomed with the arrival of Procurator Catus, the queen balanced the concerns of the state with her daughter's education and beauty rituals. Adorned in their finest attire, they ventured to the bustling market, but their mirth was swiftly shattered by the gruesome sight of men crucified. The queen, initially dismissive, believed them to be criminals facing due punishment. However, her maid revealed a haunting truth. These men were Christians martyred by Rome for their faith. Undaunted, the queen continued her stroll with the girls. Amidst the vibrant marketplace, Trinovante warriors, recognizing her, knelt before her, invoking the name Boudica, the warrior goddess. A fervent stall owner, a staunch Roman sympathizer, objected to this tale, attempting to apprehend the queen. In an instant, Cardamanda's blade severed his hand, then his life. Fearing Roman retribution, the crowd dispersed. Later, Prasutagus would negotiate with centurions to clear his wife's name. For nearly a year, the queen remained confined, her presence at the market replaced by obedient servants. Curiosity finally prompted her to inquire why the Trinovante warriors revered her as their goddess. Prasutagus, speculating it was her uncivilized lineage, pondered her question. One afternoon, the queen frolicked with her daughters, their swordplay revealing their unrefined skills. Prasutagus joined in as Ciaran, burdened by the weight of past losses, announced his departure. Teasing her husband with a wooden blade, the queen ignited Prasutagus's realization that her barbarian heritage ran deeper than he'd imagined. Acknowledging her inescapable origins, he gifted her Boudica sword, a relic imbued with ancient magic, safeguarded for centuries by druids. Its hues shifted like dancing flames. The following day, Procurator Catus descended upon the Iceni tribe. Prasutagus, compelled by necessity, kissed the usurper's ring during their meal. Concealing their unease, the locals endured Catus's passive-aggressive jibes and covetous glances cast upon their fortress, sensing a sinister intent to claim it as his own. Following Catus's visit, Prasutagus issued strict orders for his subjects to maintain impeccable behavior, fully aware that the slightest error could spell the village's demise. To subtly convey the danger of the land, he instructed Ciaran to gather a motley crew of outlaws and undesirables, intending to offer them as a tribute to Catus, thereby warning him of the region's hazards. Though obedient, Ciaran harbored reservations. Days later, Prasutagus led a mission to capture the unsavory tribute. Tragically, news of his demise reached the queen upon their return, triggering her emotional collapse. She dismissed the men, berating them for failing to protect their king. In the absence of male heirs, the Iceni tribe proclaimed her the new queen leader, adorning her with royal torque. Ciaran's discontentment was evident. However, their coronation was rudely interrupted by Catus and his entourage, who declared the Roman Empire's refusal to accept women in positions of authority and rebranded the tribute as a bribe. In a cruel twist of fate, Catus revealed the grim consequences for the queen and her daughters, seizing their lands and decreeing a shared punishment. Shockingly, he disclosed that Ciaran had betrayed Prasutagus's location, leading to a fatal ambush. The queen was forcibly torn from her daughters, her royal torque discarded, her dignity stripped away, and her battered form hung from a tree, while brutal lashes rained down upon her. Helpless, the tribe watched, silenced by the iron grip of the soldiers. The gruesome ordeal ended with the branding of her face with Nero's initials, a degrading act reserved for slaves. As night fell, Cardamanda and the Trinovante warriors infiltrated the Roman camp, silently eliminating guards until they located the queen and spirited her away. Crossing the river in stealth, They reached the sanctuary of the Trinavante tribe, where they tended to her wounds. In her fevered state, the queen agonizingly inquired about her daughters, prompting Cardamanda to convey the somber truth that the Trinavante tribe had become her children now. Resisting the harsh reality, the queen's denial crumbled as her daughters entered the tent, reuniting with their battered mother. Cardamanda, displaying unwavering loyalty, presented a set of pilfered centurion teeth, recognizing the importance of a warrior's bite. After days of recovery, the queen emerged to find her daughters being trained in the art of combat by the Trinavante warriors. Requesting a respite, they shared poignant moments, revealing Cardamanda's past loss at the hands of Romans. The girls enlightened their mother on the significance of the brand Catus had inflicted, marking her as their leader, entrusted with uniting the tribes against Rome. Realizing her destiny, the queen initiated training with a combat dummy, her motions initially clumsy. Fortunately, a warrior joined her, imparting expertise. Their training was interrupted by Cardamanda, who delivered the coveted Boudica sword, wrested from a Roman soldier's grasp through lethal means. Touched by Cardamanda's heartfelt gesture, the queen's gratitude was short-lived as her trainer pointed out the inadequacy of bronze for a sword. Wulfgar and his tribe arrived, unimpressed by her inexperience and lack of proper armor. They ridiculed her blade, breaking it and casting it into the river. Desperate, the queen leaped into the treacherous waters, unnerving the warriors, but she emerged with the sword miraculously restored. Awestruck, they knelt as Wulfgar declared his support. Finally embracing the name Boudica, she raised her sword. In the evening, the warriors recovered the royal torque and conducted a ceremony officially recognizing Boudica as the new queen of the United Tribes. She delivered a heartfelt speech about reclaiming their freedom, proposing an ambush of Catus's convoy in 2 days. Wulfgar expressed skepticism, knowing Catus wielded a formidable army, a march into almost certain death. Undaunted, Boudica astounded all by making her sword levitate back into her hand, a miraculous sign. In the forest, poised for a solitary battle, she was joined by Wulfgar and his men, who, acknowledging her as their leader, chanted her name. 2 days later, the Roman convoy under Ciaran's command traversed the forest. Boudica halted them, demanding a parley with Catus. Initially rebuffed, her threats forced Ciaran to seek his superior. When Catus arrived, he failed to recognize Boudica, who seized the moment to assert her queenship before summoning her sword, swiftly dispatching Catus. Tribe warriors emerged, encircling the disoriented Romans in a triumphant ambush. Fierce battles erupted as the Romans fought to survive, but Boudica's warriors proved merciless, leaving no enemy unchallenged. Amidst the fierce battle, Boudica endured moments of peril, occasionally losing her footing or sword. Her resolve remained unshaken, pressing on until no Romans remained, their severed heads impaled on spikes. Once the carnage subsided, the tribesmen scavenged the spoils from the fallen. When warriors apprehended Ciaran attempting escape, Boudica's fury knew no bounds, relentlessly stabbing him for his treachery. A concerned Wulfgar intervened, reining in her madness. Boudica declared their journey to Camulos, pending the Druid Council's blessing. The evening brought the Council's approval, marked by a tradition where Boudica and Wulfgar drank from Catus's skull. Wulfgar's advances were spurned, as Boudica remained faithful to King Prasutagus. Alone, a druid confronted Boudica with a tragic revelation, her daughter's demise, a truth she refused to accept. In the depths of reflection, Boudica's mind wove a tapestry of cherished family memories, even as the druid conveyed that her daughter's spirits remained her eternal companions. Touched, Boudica was also confronted with her impending mortality, a prelude to a final leadership role. Overwhelmed by these revelations, she sought Wulfgar's reassurance about her daughters, but received a heartbreaking confirmation of their illusory nature. Boudica's world shattered, leading to her collapse. Upon awakening, she lay in a bed, her daughter's spectral presence comforting her. She now recognized their unreality, but drew strength from their support, promising eventual reunion. Days later, Boudica and her army descended upon Camulos, a town claimed by Romans who had exterminated its original inhabitants, turning it into a haven for elderly soldiers. Seizing the opportunity, Boudica's forces overran the town, culminating in a brutal massacre, complete with decapitated heads, their revenge fulfilled. In a blazing whirlwind, the skirmish swiftly concluded, their plunder collected before setting the settlement ablaze. Boudica proclaimed they had only just begun. As night fell at their camp, Boudica observed an unusual celebration among her warriors. Wulfgar revealed they were marking their cheeks with the same symbol as hers, intending to pay tribute. Boudica recoiled, as the symbol bore the weight of slavery, but Wulfgar illuminated their illiteracy, suggesting a new interpretation. At Cambridge Forest, they ambushed another Roman convoy, leaving dozens of soldiers ruthlessly slain, their heads rolling. With each battle, Boudica's army grew more coordinated and ruthless, decapitating their foes with merciless precision. Arriving in London, they executed a stealthy assault on the harbor, incinerating enemy ships. Despite the Roman soldiers' valiant stand, they were no match for the ferocious tribesmen, and Boudica reveled in beheading their captain. In distant Rome, chaos reigned as furious riots engulfed the city, flames licking the sky. The populace, burdened by the exorbitant cost of war, clamored for a victory. Paulinus, torn between duty and loyalty, attempted to rescue Nero. The king, however, dispirited by Rome's perceived abandonment, chose self-annihilation. Paulinus, bearing the weight of this loss, pledged to secure the victory Rome craved and rallied his troops for a morning departure. News of Nero's death and Paulinus's impending mission reached Britannia, instilling anxiety in the tribesmen, for the king's army exceeded the typical garrison. Wulfgar conferred with Boudica, emphasizing the need for recuperation as winter neared, cautioning against marching to certain doom. Boudica, resolute, rejected retreat, adamant that they must see their mission through. Boudica found herself in an impassable rift with her once loyal Wulfgar, her steadfast refusal to be with him for the greater good, leaving their bond strained. The spirits of her daughters speculated that his resentment stemmed from her rejection, but Boudica remained unwavering, rejecting compromise. Wulfgar, taking his men, departed, leaving Boudica with the Trinovante tribe. The following dawn, the tribe readied for battle, learning that Paulinus was en route to Watling Street to confront her. She delivered an impassioned speech, promising to reclaim their freedom before they charged toward the road. To their astonishment, the soldiers parted, permitting their passage. Paulinus, a seasoned strategist, had orchestrated a devastating ambush with a multitude of archers opening fire, decimating the tribesmen. Desperation led Boudica to seek help from her spectral daughters, who revealed her time was at its end, urging her to join her family. Rejecting a coward's death, Boudica rallied her warriors with Cardamanda's unwavering support for a valiant last stand. In the direst moment, a cacophony of forest screams unveiled a surprising return. Wulfgar, flanking the Roman soldiers with his men, unleashed a devastating crossbow assault. Romans fell in droves, yet their numerical advantage remained formidable. Inevitably, both Wulfgar and Cardamanda met their fates in the heat of battle. Boudica, overwhelmed by the loss, unleashed a torrent of vengeance upon the Romans. However, her daughter's ethereal presence beckoned, urging her to reunite with her family. Lost in their spiritual connection, an arrow found its mark, and the Romans swarmed her. With multiple stabs, she met her end, her thoughts transcending to her beloved family in the afterlife. In the present day, a statue in London stands as a solemn tribute to Boudica and her daughters.